What is brain?
So brain is a very important structure. Because of its importance, I suppose it heads the body. It's on the top of your body for a lay person to understand that. It controls each and every activity of yours. I would say that it grabs your attention, continues to sustain the attention, your heartbeat, your gut feeling, your gut activity, your emotions, endocrine system, your hormones, everything goes through a process through the brain.
People are born with different types of brain, or everybody has similar brain? What is happening right at inception level?
So all of us are born with similar brain until and unless during the delivery, parturition, and during the pregnancy, the growth of the child is hampered by certain diseases which affects the mother. So when the child is young, you need to make the child at least aware or probably face all of the skills that are available. When they're tired from work, they get back home and they look at all those Insta posts and everything, and that gives you an instant pleasure.
Hello everyone, this is Vikas and you are listening to Run with Fitpage. As you know, it's our weekly show and we get to speak to eminent speakers about a topic of interest. Today, we're discussing about brain health. And for that discussion, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Bindu Menon. Dr. Menon is Professor and Head of Neurology at Apollo Specialty Hospital, Nellore. She's also the founder and runs her foundation, that is Neurology-on-Wheels. She's a great advocate of stroke and epilepsy awareness in rural India and continues to do multiple camps over the years. In the discussion today, we'll talk about basics of brain, how it functions, how it gets impacted, how it develops, what should parents do to improve the brain health of their kids, what all should be done to improve and preserve the brain health over a period of time, how sleep, nutrition, exercise, and breathing help and impact brain. All of this we'll be discussing today. I think this topic is the start of several conversations to come where we will go and dig deeper into a topic that connects with overall health more in general. This is one of the first ones in covering brain, and in the next episodes as well, we'll be covering this in more detail. For now, let's welcome Dr. Bindu Menon to the show and understand more about your and my brain. Let's go. Professor Menon, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
As we were discussing backstage, several health-related points are so important for people to know about, and yet the information is pretty elementary for people to go to, get it from a great source. And one of the things we have been wanting to cover is to talk more about brain. It is important, it's critical for almost everything, but knowing from someone like you will make a lot of sense. But before we talk about brain, I would request to go through how your interest academically got into studying more about neuroscience, and how did you get into the profession that you are?
Thank you so much for the question. And as you rightly pointed out, brain is a very important organ, and I would say that it's like a CPU. That's how we go about and talk to the students and the children. That this is like a central point of processing. My academic and professional journey was actually, I should say, deeply shaped by an intense desire to know about the human brain and to improve the lives of those who are affected. So after I completed my MBBS, I pursued my MD in general medicine, during which time, we used to have a separate block for neurology, and that the interest in neurosciences started growing significantly. Every neurological patient, or I should say a case, was like a puzzle. It was intellectually challenging. It was like mathematics. If you have a lesion here, and that's where you have the symptom, and then you have the sign. So it was a pure mathematics that we used to have, and the outcome, if you treat those patients, was very, very rewarding. And then we also found out gradually over the years that time is brain. Anything that is intervened in time always gives an extremely fruitful results, and that curiosity and that sense of purpose naturally led me to specialize in neurology. I completed my DM in neurology and began my career as a clinician, then as a researcher, and then as a teacher. And over my years, I have started my foundation, the Dr Bindu Menon Foundation, where I combine my clinical work with advocacy and public health initiatives as well, and my Neurology-on-Wheels and so on and so forth. Coupling with it, the interest also means from the academic, from the research, patient care, clinical, as also I should say the emergency services. I have moved into advocacy to see that each and every step that we take for the benefit of the patient should be translated into care and a platform. I feel that it is to serve, educate, and empower more people.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for a very relevant and great work that you've been doing, not only in the clinic, but also by educating people, whether students of medical or lay people like us, for example, through your content. Advocacy, as simple it sounds, it's very deep rooted in, if it drives its true purpose, and you're doing that. So thank you so much for doing it. Let's start from the very basic. What is brain?
So, brain is a very important structure. Because of its importance, I suppose it heads the body. It's on the top of your body for a lay person to understand that. It controls each and every activity of yours. I would say that it grabs your attention, continues to sustain the attention, your heartbeat, your gut feeling, your gut activity, your emotions, endocrine system, your hormones, everything goes through a process through the brain. So, as we understand more and more about the intricacies of the brain, we understand that the connections of the brain with all the other interconnected organs are becoming more and more difficult, as also more and more challenging, as also more and more fruitful, because once we understand the connection, we get to the root of the problem for every disease as well.
It's a very nice way to put it, that brain heads the body department, isn't it?
It's kept that way. I always felt that God had something in mind. That's why He kept it on the top of your body. It's like a crown.
I'm the head of the department, and the department happens to be body, which is
Yes, yes. So much.
fantastic, fantastic start. So now let's understand this. So this means after we are born and as we grow, our brain also grows like how the entire body grows. So does it mean people are born with different types of brain, or everybody has similar brain? What is happening right at inception level?
So, all of us are born with a similar brain until and unless during the delivery, parturition, and during the pregnancy, the growth of the child is hampered by certain diseases which affects the mother. Like if the mother is anemic, then the child is born preterm. If the child is born preterm, then the brain is not as nourished as it should be. The mother has an RH incompatibility, the child has got jaundice, the child has got kernicterus, and then the child has got a brain damage there. During the delivery, the child does not cry immediately, and then there is a hypoxic brain damage. Then that brain that develops over the period of years is definitely different from another individual who everybody gets born with a similar sort of brain. All have got a genetic predisposition, definitely, So
Yeah.
one can't say that that what you read and what I read and what my colleague who was a topper in the class who read could imbibe the same way. But it also, I feel that over the years of their development, it's how the brain is molded that becomes the most important factor. How much attentive you are while the classes are being taken, how much you retain later on, how much you are focused or invested on getting it retained, and that becomes what you call is a well-oiled machinery all across. Then it becomes easier for them. It doesn't need a separate effort. It becomes a daily routine for that particular individual.
I understood that brain is generally similar unless beyond, of course, predisposition, unless there is any other condition that is there during the pregnancy, for that matter, with the mother. Now, as we start to grow, the brain starts to develop, and I'm going to assume, and I hope that is true, at least that much I should know, that is, the brain also gets nourished through the blood supply, which is being done from the heart, and that is how the brain is also getting nutrients. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Got it. So now, as it is progressing, how does the brain keep improving? You said how much you are going to retain when you learn, when you study, when you practice. Are we saying much like how when we keep doing something, when we are training ourselves, for example, for fitness, endurance, sport, or anything else, we get better at it. Any muscle that we train, that gets better, the endurance improves. Is it in a similar way that the brain also improves if you keep training it?
So every brain would have an innate capacity and a level where it can be done. It's just the way a physical endurance has. So everybody cannot be running like the 100 marathon runner. So many people out there. So there is an endurance level, there is a stagnation level for every individual, and one probably needs to understand that. The crux of it is that how much are we really using it to take it to the maximum level. So we should understand that this is my limit, I can't be doing more than that. I can just tax my brain to that level. So as I said, that probably is not understood by children's, and especially the parents and the teachers, to tap the maximum potential of that particular individual. So everybody would have some focus areas where they are very excellent. So that's why we say that your right brain is very good because you are an artist. Your left brain is very good because you're able to memorize certain things very quickly. Some people are very good at geographical orientation. So I wouldn't know offhand that why this happens, whether they were really skilled at it, or whether they got skilled at it, or they were born with certain areas of the brain which were probably more nourished, or probably more, I can't say developed. But if you understand your potential and then sort of cream it off, then it becomes better in that way. Like, I'm not good at numbers, so if I had probably trained my brain to be very good at numbers, maybe I might have been good at it. But then I'm good at getting the symptoms, connecting it to signs, and then connecting it to the diagnosis, that I'm very good at. So you get to know what you're good at, and then that's how you choose your careers, that's how you choose your careers, because you know that you are. But everybody is not able to do that. Unfortunately, we find people who are in the wrong place, and they are very good at something else, and they feel that they should have been at a different place. So you need to understand, you need to upscale that particular skill and take it forward from there.
Got it. Yeah, no, makes absolute sense. And we realize what we are good at over a period of time by doing something, whether we enjoy or not enjoy, etc. But when we are growing up as child, it's mostly in the hands of our parents, and not necessarily the parents know. Of course, by observing, by being with the kids, they will know what the kid is good at or not. But as adults, when we are looking at our kids as parents in the very early stages, are there a few things to keep in mind to see how the brain of the child is growing? Because I've seen, for example, when I was a lot younger, my mother will take me for various vaccinations. And then I'll also go through certain diagnosis to see that everything is okay, blood marker wise, urine, stool tests, etc. will happen, but there won't be any brain test, right? So how will my parents know
Yeah, yeah.
what what am I good at as I'm
Yeah,
growing, for example, and what to
absolutely,
keep in mind?
absolutely. Yeah. So that would have been wonderful if we had a brain test to find out which areas of the brain are flashing, and then we could just.
Right.
That's wonderful, and I'm sure that probably several decades later, that's also going to happen. So that we are not there. So my advice to parents are that, so when the child is young, you need to make the child at least aware, or probably face all of the skills that are available. That includes sports, that includes art, that includes art in the form of music or singing, that includes drawing, any of those, any other things, or any other machinery skills. While it is 100% possible that while the child was young, and there are two things there. One, the child is very good in that, and the child is very interested in that. That might differ. The child might be good in that, but the child might not be. Child might run in 2 seconds, but the child may not be interested in sports. So there has to be two things that should be clubbed together: the emotion behind the interest and the skill behind the interest. And that's for a good parent and as also a good teacher. In a classroom, probably that might be a little difficult. It's always easier for a parent to find out because they are at home. Unfortunately, again, I say that now the schooling system has become very difficult. I should say they go off at 7 and they come back at 7, 8, and they are so tired. I suppose they can't be checked to in what they can be skilled to. But I think it's easier for parents to know. But unless they've seen all of that and they have been in that for a couple of months, days, whatever it is, the parent can't judge, the child can't make out. The child will definitely say, Mama, I want to go for the art. Mama, I want to go for the cashier. If the child says, I want to go for the cashier, that means the child has got an artistic bent towards it. Later, as the child gets more older, then you send him for educational skills, like you send him for abacus, you send him for some language, literature, which would propel him towards a professional way of learning. There you get to know that apart from what you call hobby sort, he can have another turning as well.
So I think the good start point is for parents to first expose the kid to various type of skills, whether motor skills, movements, sports, education, art and craft, creativity, etc., and
Everything.
then be observant
Yes.
to see what the kid is liking, because higher chances the kid will be much better in doing what the kid likes.
Absolutely. And I think there needs a little patience from the parents as well, because the child can't develop an interest. And it also depends upon how the place where they are getting exposed, whether it is really a good center. So many things play. Yeah, there's so many socioeconomic conditions that also you might have some good peers that propels an interest towards that. You might have a good teacher who sort of educates you so well. So there's so many other things as well. But then in a broader perspective, the exposure the child has and the interest that the child shows should be a target for the parent to move forward towards that.
Got it. Instead of imposing what we want our
Yeah,
kid to
yeah,
become.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. अब सब डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकते, सब इंजीनियर नहीं बन सकते, isn't it? uh,
Yes.
I do remember when I went for my class 11th entrance exam, I went for biology, and day one I hated it. I knew
Oh my
this is
God.
not what I want to do ever, and it reached this level that in about 2 months I had to give an exam to go into maths, and then I moved from bio to maths. Thank God I moved, because I would have not understood anything in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I had similar lines. I had some couple of my friends who were good in both, the other way around. So they were
Right.
not able to decide whether they want to be in maths or they want to be in bio, and they were given the privilege of being in one class for one month each and choose what they wanted. The school was nice.
Right. So now let's spend a little time on the governor function of brain. Is the head of the department,
Yes.
and so how does it really function? How does brain function? How does it direct us what to do? For example, that will be important to understand, because then we'll get into some of the disorders as we progress.
Anything that you and me do is focused on attention. So unless we are attentive, it doesn't go back and it doesn't go into a recent memory, then it doesn't go into a remote memory, and then it doesn't get recalled the next day. That is one part of it. That's part of it, that how I remembered that I should be here on this particular day and have a podcast with you. So unless it was there in the back of the memory, and I could retrieve it well. Second is rest all of the functions. It's the brain is such a beautiful organ that, like, I'm talking to you, I'm moving my hand, I'm blinking my eyes, I'm trying to focus my hair, you're trying to move, trying to adjust that. All things happen in such minuscules of seconds that one cannot even
Right.
imagine as to what is happening. So the coordination of the whole coordinated movement is such, as I said, such an oiled machinery. It's such an orchestrated movement that one cannot even imagine that it's all based on circuitry. So
Yeah.
that's too deep in for us to sort of converse. But then it's all based on circuitry. Everything has a circuitry. The motor movement has a circuitry. The memory has a circuitry. The coordination has a circuitry. The vision has a circuitry. The half of the vision has a circuitry. So that's how the brain functions in such a beautiful manner, but then it moves in such a coordinated manner that one does not even realize that the speed of movement is so precise in a healthy individual, right? So
Right.
in a
Right.
healthy individual. So that's where the whole scenario changes, and then we tend to realize, oh my God, his brain has got a problem. Till then, we have never realized that how beautiful the brain was.
I agree, and it's just so naturally occurring all the time that we, in fact, at times, for lack of better word, we take it for granted.
Absolutely.
We think
Absolutely.
we think this is how it is, and unless something else happens, and then we realize
Yes.
this is not all nice, right? But to get there, it takes a lot of effort for us to waste, meaning we spoil our body, we spoil by doing certain things knowingly and unknowingly that impacts everybody function, everybody part, including brain for that matter. So since we are discussing brain, what are some of the lifestyle related issues or habits, whether nutrition or general daily habits, that impact the brain negatively?
So, because you are also into, you're a great preacher of exercise, as I understand. So, I would say that exercise is one thing. So, if you put it as food, exercise, and sleep. So, one could say that it's a triangle that forms there. So, sleep is important for a good memory. Your memories get consolidated. Your memories, your bad or the unwanted, the unnecessary things get filtered while you sleep. And then you
Right.
come up the next day morning fresh with only the wanted things that are there. Food and nutrition is very important because you have to eat right. You have to eat in time, the time while you take the food. You have to eat the proper food. You have to avoid the unnecessary food. That becomes one part of the nutrition. And then there is exercise, the way you make your muscles strong. I tell my patients that you are making your brain strong. You are giving it a networking capacity that which will help you, and it produces a brain reserve for you. The way you have, if you take care of these three things more or less, if you are strict on these three things, you have a brain reserve to fall back on when you become ill. If your brain is affected, you can take a sort of you are not in debt, then you can take something from their reserve and then get back with it.
Got it. How about the actions that the brain allows us to do? Some people become hyperactive. The amygdala is responding in a different way than that. Is it also impacted because of the sleep, because of food, because of stress, or anything else?
Oh, yes. Now we say that the brain is getting slow. The brain is not working. The brain is foggy, especially after the COVID 19. This word seems to be getting used very often. We are not really sure that it was the COVID 19 that produced, or the extreme lethargy that the whole community went into, and the
Yeah.
extreme focus one. So it's also important that when you are looking at when the brain is slow, though I'm not able to, the amygdala, as you were saying, is that is chronic stress and a cortisol overload is what we are presently in. The modern life in which we are, the brain is constantly in an alert state. I can hardly see a person relaxing. He's either
Right.
with the phone, either doing something, talking to something. And I suppose that's the world has moved in that direction, and I do not blame them. But then high cortisol level impairs the prefrontal cortex. So that's where you're seeing in this forehead area. So you're not able to focus, and then, as you said, into the amygdala and the hippocampus, it is not going back into the amygdala and hippocampus, and it's not getting consolidated for memory. Over the time, if this chronic stress and this cortisol overload, the sleep deprivation, the digital overload, the multitasking that you're having, the sedentary lifestyle, whatever, the anxiety, depression, poor, all that will lead to a poor memory. over a period of time. It doesn't happen in a day, it happens over months, and one can't even find the transition, can't even date the transition as to when that happens. It's very slow, but then that more or less becomes a little permanent, because then you're not able to get back on to whatever has happened.
Got it. So let's spend some time here. When we say chronic stress, or we are talking about a digital habit, for example, being very hooked to being in the virtual world with a screen, and that is keeping us hyperactive, keeping our brain hyperactive. We are always reacting to something instead of responding in a right way, and that is impacting our brain. Is that what we are saying, correct?
Yes, yes.
Right. So now I'm in a chronic stage of stress, which is something that has happened over a period of time and it is not acute. That means it didn't happen just overnight. Because when something happens, we feel, hey, something happened just now, so I'm having this issue. Now, will you please explain this to our listeners why it is important for us to not be in that stage of just always being very, very occupied, whether with the digital screen or anything else? I always thought that if I have brain, I'm supposed to think. Whether I'm watching something, reading something, I should just keep doing it. Why should I not do it? And how is it negatively impacting me, for example?
So what's happening now is that if we look at the digital, a digital overload is what we call as, and digital dementia is what another word that is surfacing and that has been said very often. So when we are saying is that what we are speaking is that we are losing the mental clarity. There is a place in the brain which is responsible for attention, which is responsible to make a decision, it's responsible for planning, and it is also responsible for filtering out distractions. So, if you need to have that part of the brain efficiently engaged at every point of time to concentrate on one task while suppressing the other irrelevant information. And then from there, you need to sustain that. So, brain, as I said, it plays as an orchestra. So, if you have a part of the brain which is continuously being overloaded, it goes into a sense of fatigue. So from there, the orchestra cannot build up the tempo and it can't sing. So it doesn't go into a song mode. It just goes into that mode itself. So you have these neurotransmitters as so, you have those chemicals. So why do we look at these phones? Why do we look at all those things? Is because it gives you an intense pleasure. It gives you an intense reward. You laugh at all those reels, you'll become happy. And that's why people get, when they're tired from work, they get back home and they look at all those Insta posts and everything. And that gives you an instant pleasure. But then brain should prioritize what's important, right? So here what's happening is that you have prioritized something which is non-motivating for you. It is giving you a pleasure, but then that's self-lasting. It doesn't increase and it doesn't help you to increase your brain capacity. It's just giving you that, and it's that. It's just stopping at that point of time. So this digital overload over a period of, if you say that it's in 10 minutes, at 15 minutes, it's fine. The dopamine is extremely helpful. You get switched from something else, and then you come into this mode and you get back into that mode, and then you're fine. But then if you're in a constant mode of constant area where your brain is constantly getting loaded with information, you are switching between apps, you're switching between messages, you are screen as fragmenting the attention, then your brain is not designed to multitask in this intense mode. So initially we used to have these televisions. That was just a half an hour, this was a 3 hours movie, and that was it. So you were resting your brain, you were recalling, you were talking about that movie, you were discussing, you were laughing, you were engaging, you were checking out the smaller details, you were discussing, and in that way the brain was active. Now it is
Okay.
not so. Now it is not so. It's just loading in more and more information that drains the dopamine. The dopamine can't hold that long, and then it tires the attentional, what you call the network, which I was talking, and then it
Yeah.
leads to a short attention span.
Got it. So does it mean, is it fair to say rather that instead of it being active as it used to be earlier, it's now reactive, that we are reacting to an extreme situation all the time? For example, when we are on Instagram or other places, we are seeing a lot of content of different types. A lot of it is is extreme. A lot of it is violent. Some of it is happening. We are watching accidents for some reason. I've seen the reels that keep coming to feed is just crazy with the way they come. So does it mean that it's keeping our brain in a hyper state all the time, and that is tiring us?
Yes, the continuous stimulation that is happening reduces the brain's ability to recharge. So
Understood.
yes, you need to recharge it. You need to mellow down and then get back. So the brain is as any other organ. You can't just keep whacking it off. So there is the
Got it.
brain needs off time, offline time, I should say, offline time to integrate and consolidate the memory. Yes.
Yeah, switch it off while you
Stop.
can, for
Yeah.
example.
Somebody asked me that whether we can meditate. I don't like to meditate. I just say that you would have heard of the word mindfulness. So
Yeah,
enjoy everything that you do while you're eating a cake, while you're eating your chapati, while you're eating your rice. Enjoy the taste, savor the taste, be in that place while you're with your patient. Like I say, that while I am with my patient, I spend time with my patient. Everybody should spend time, talk to them, understand them, and be in there. So be in that place. That's more than enough.
got it. So now I have so many questions now because people must already be looking for remedy. For example, for example, someone might get stressed out from being at work. For example, someone might get overwhelmed by a particular situation, etc. And while the other person may just enjoy it. For that matter, someone may get tired with the digital the screen time, for example. Now, one, how do I first identify that I need to take a break? That's the first question. And then the related question is, if I have identified I need to take a break, my mind still does not stop thinking. How do I go and rest and recover and reset?
So, first, to understand that you are digitally overloaded is that you can't be without your phone. One, the phone has to be beside you all the time, whether it is
Yeah,
any day of the time. If you cannot stay without it, means that you're addicted to it. You're not getting a call. The all those social media posts are not made for you. You don't need to be updated all the time. You don't need to check the WhatsApp every day because you are not into an industry or you are not into a place where it's going to crash if you had not looked at it. But then the phone is always in your hand. That means you are addicted to it. So, a person who keeps the phone and moves around and doesn't bother until and unless the phone rings is not addicted most of the time. Second is there is an intense urge to look at the WhatsApp messages or any of the reels every 2 to 3 minutes. The WhatsApp, even if you have, we conducted a study to all the employees to find out what is the phone habits. Do you have an urge to look at the phone, and when does it happen? So some of them wrote every
yeah.
minute.
Wow.
Yeah, they look
Wow.
and there's nothing, they keep it, and then they again, after just about a minute, they again. So if you are continuously checking for messages and you know that you are not in a professional space which needs to check those messages, then you are addicted to it. Second, you are not able to sustain an attention. Like, let us say you have been given a page and you have to read it. You are not able to get to the bottom of the page. You're not trying to figure out. That means your attention is absolutely has been cut short to probably a
Has
couple
been
of
diminished.
seconds. Yeah, it's a couple of seconds now. You're more irritable. You are more, you can't hold conversations. You are fidgety. You can't take conversations and you can't move. You can't hold on for a longer period of time. You're restless. You have sleep deprivation. You're not able to sleep properly. You are not able to enjoy anything properly except the phone. Then you know that, and these are very easy to know, and actually it's not easy for a particular individual. The bystander, they would be the best person to tell, yes, this person has all of these symptoms. The person will deny because the person wants it, so the person will say
Yeah.
no. And denial is the first phase, everybody goes through.
I understood now. I think this makes a lot of sense. That to summarize what I understood, if we are not able to concentrate or focus or be where you are, be where you're supposed to be, like if you're lost, if you're thinking, if you're not where you're supposed to be, where your friends are, or whatever setting you are in, and you're restless, is an indication that you want to be somewhere else, and that could be like near your mobile phone or something else, and it seems like an issue that needs attention. So now let's understand that we have established that we need digital detox or resetting of it, for that matter, and we need to rebuild our brain. Now my question is, can the brain be rebuilt at any stage, for that matter, and if yes, then how do I go about de-addicting myself?
De-addiction is simply said that you have to move out of the phones. So there are several ways one can do that, but then that needs the person's complete cooperation for that. The person should first understand that I am digitally addicted. Most of the time, person doesn't believe that he or she is digitally addicted. It's like alcohol addiction. The person says, "No, I can stay without alcohol." Then why don't you? "No, that's
Yeah.
not necessary for me." Then why don't you? "No, it's once in a
Right.
while." Is it daily once in a while? So the same question if goes for the phone as well. So what has happened is, as I again say, that it's giving you a pleasure. It's building up a reward hormone. It's giving you dopamine. And that's the whole digital media took the attention of the general public, and they have got you hooked onto this small apparatus. So, what else you can do to change and shift your attention to something which gives you the same amount of dopamine, same amount of reward? So you need to get interested in what, that's how you're, if you were a child and you know that you were interested in several other activities, but as you aged and you became older and you became you became lazy and you became more disinterested in things, then you started going into this. So you need to find certain other areas which can give you an equal happiness and pleasure. That's where you explore. To give you an example, I write poems and blogs. So when I write them and when I end it and when I read them, oh my God, I can't tell you how much pleasure of what I have
Yeah.
written. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how I have put down, and I just put it on the social media. I put it on the social media not to get applause. That's partly one of it, because all of us like to. But then it's also as an indicator for other people to realize that you too can do any of those things. You too can get engaged in any of the other activities which gives you pleasure. It could be writing, it could be running. And as I said, engaging in any of the physical activities is one thing which gives you intense and immediate sort of happiness. So shifting your task to another one, detoxification is shifting to another activity and identifying that activity. It could be many, it need not be one activity. It could be many of them. Weekends, it could be
Yeah.
something which is longer and more productive. Weekdays, it could be shorter and less skilled ones, because you are so much tired ones. That was the best way to go by digital detox.
Got it.
And you have those apps. You can have those apps which can lock, but I don't think that works. People unlock and do that.
Yeah, find ways to then unlock it. One of the ways it works for me is I switch off all my notifications, and over a period of time, then unless I open my phone, I don't know something is has come or not.
Yeah,
But then I also met a friend of mine who keeps checking their phone after switching off notification
that's
in
it.
anticipation
Yes, yes.
that something may have come.
And also, if the person has been extremely, active on the social media or on the WhatsApp, and he's on several WhatsApp groups, can you imagine when he opens up notification in the early morning, it will be like a tsunami that comes in for him. So it is also
Yeah,
important not to engage in certain WhatsApp groups which you're not going to be an active part of. No need to
yeah,
be active in all the groups. You can just politely decline if you are not going to be an active participant of, because you will get all of those messages. Even your good morning and good night, you will keep reading on them because you have to. So don't be a part
yeah.
of those groups. And as you rightly suggested, putting off the notification, and then there are certain apps. The best is voluntarily trying to engage yourself in other activity, even though the phone is there, even if it is on, trying to say, no, I'm not going to look into it because I have other work which engages me in an hour's activity where I'm going to get more benefit out of it.
Awesome. Makes a lot of sense. I have two other questions related with it. One, does breathing help in focusing and does it help with the brain?
Yes, let us say that when a person breathes, it's giving oxygen to the brain, right? So, brain is a structure that is dependent on oxygen. And again, as I say, that I always believe if your prefrontal cortex is good and if retention has been good enough, then the rest of the part should be moving very well, especially in cases where the person is in stress, the person is not able to focus. The breathing does help you,
Okay.
we have people during stressful situations, they get into a panic attack, and sometimes they get into the emergency as well. So we need to do that. So breathing, when it becomes shallow, when there is a tension, it produces a lightheadedness, and that's how people fall down. That's known as syncope, and it is essential that they keep their breathing capacities active, alive, and we ask them to do deep breathing so that they can give the increased supply to the prefrontal cortex.
And we've seen box breathing also seems to be recommended for focus and de stressing.
I'm not so aware of that. Yeah. So I
Okay.
would say take a deep breath in, take shorter breaths in, and exhale slowly and fully.
Got it, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching some content where it said you should breathe in for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, breathe out for five
Yeah.
seconds, and then hold for 5 seconds.
Yeah, you could do this. You could do this breathing exercises. I think it also works in two ways. While you're doing it, you're doing a sustained, controlled activity, and again, you are mindful and you are with yourself. Even if it is for two
Right.
minutes, everything really counts.
Got it. Now, what can you do nutritionally to take care of your brain? I understood exercise is important. I also understood for from sleep point of view, it is important for brain health. We talked about breathing. Now, how should someone think of what is a good brain food, and if there are any, and how does good food help with the good brain?
As I said, I did refer that there are three pillars. I could say there are many pillars, yeah, no? But then
Yeah.
most is the sleep, the nutrition, and the exercise. And I think yes. So while most of the people do say that looking at the person has become is not able to concentrate because of the phone and all of those things, but leave out the nutrition in general. That's very important. The brain is very highly energy dependent organ. We understand that, and it needs nutrition. And even subtle deficiencies can make significant changes in the attention, the concentration, and the memory. So we usually, as doctors, we say that it should be a vitamin B12 rich diet. So B12 is, it's like insulation. Your wires are insulated. If your wires are insulated, there's a good transmission of your chemical system. And the insulation is B12 deficiency is common in vegetarians because the B12 resources are not there, and that produces slow thinking, memory lapses, fatigue, and also produces spinal cord problems. It produces subacute combined degeneration if it is very, very low, not minimal, but if it is very low. And it is one of the most common reversible conditions as well. One could. We also talk about iron deficiency. We are not talking about anemia. Even just the iron is very low. So sometimes that can produce the processing. I've seen that people's processing and restlessness and this brain fogging is also very important. We also talk about the vitamin D, which is
Yeah.
produces, it produces weakness, tiredness, lethargy, and the person is not able to, unless you're physically fit, you're not mentally fit, you're not cognitively fit, I should say. So it's very common in our country, and nowadays it's getting very common, especially for children. You should say they are closeted inside the four walls. There's just a tube light they are not having vitamin, and our food is not fortified as well. Then we also talk about, when we're talking about food, I always want to refer to the water. One should be very, very, very mindful about dehydration. Have you ever noticed that when you're very tired, you're not able to concentrate, try to drink a glass of water. Even that 1 to 2% drop in the hydration reduces the concentration, and you suddenly feel fresh, and you can help it. What not to take is also very important. You people, when they're tired, they take a chocolate, and they suddenly build up the boost up the sugars. But then there's a sudden switch back also, and that fluctuations of the sugars are not what we are always referring to. Eating well, eating in time, and not having an irregular life. Then we talk about the bigger omega-3 fatty acids, which are very important. Where does this content come from and all of those things? We keep getting these questions, what should I eat for the brain?
Right.
Yeah, that's absolute. I completely agree. Food for brain, it's something
Yeah.
which we should be taking and be mindful of.
How about magnesium supplementation? Because it's been known as something that helps with the neuroinflammation
Yeah.
and cytotoxicity.
All of the certain of these are like reduces the oxidative stress. Any of those food items, pollution, air pollutions, any of those things that is happening outside in the world when you are exposed to, there should be certain elements in your food. It's like an antioxidant. It should help you to reduce the oxidative stress. It helps you to reduce the neuroinflammation. So yes, it is very helpful.
Got it. Awesome. I think we covered sufficiently about the basics of brain. Then we moved to how it is impacted, how to take care of it with the help of food, with the help of exercise, with the help of sleep and breathing. And I wholeheartedly want to thank you for being with us and helping us understand more about brain.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This will be, I'm sure, very popular show, and I will let you know about the feedback, how it goes. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
That was all for today. If there is feedback you'd give me on be covering these more health-related topics, that will be of great value. Do let me know through social media, through email, mobile phone, as you prefer, and we would love to incorporate your feedback. Bye-bye for now.